right, everybody, welcome to B.O. Boys for Thursday, June 22nd. Fuck it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live. In studio, I'm Clayton.
In studio, I'm Pat. And this weekend, we got a huge R-rated comedy opening. Will R-rated comedy survive? It's going to be the biggest question of the year. And we had to bring in an expert in the R-rated comedies, the R-rated radio comedian himself from the Kirk Minihane show. Kirk Minihane is here. Kirk, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on getting to live out your dream of being on the B.O. Boys.
Dreams come true.
I can't even articulate how much this means, and to see it all happen behind the scenes, it's a tour like I didn't expect. It's magic. Yeah, I've seen you guys sort of. Obviously, I listen all the time, and you make it seem like I'm sort of this Barstool bro. I will continue to go along with that, but I am old basically, and I am basically the guy that Barstool makes fun of for being old. But if you need me to bro it up for the next hour, I will bro it up like you don't. Well, whatever you need me to do, I will do.
Let me do something real fast because I want to make you feel more comfortable. Hold on.
Good.
He's got the hat. Oh, he's turned the hat backwards to make you feel. And Kirk also has a hat.
Here we go.
All right,
see, Kirk, I want to reveal something to you here.
Go ahead.
I'm from Penn State, so I know about the bros. Okay, Pat, he went to NYU. They don't have a Greek system. They don't understand what it's like, right?
Yeah.
So I think me and you, we can talk about these R-rated comedies.
Hell yeah.
At a more ground level than the gentleman over here. Okay, so
I'm waiting for us to get to the Wes Anderson film later.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Yeah,
sure. Asteroid City, I'm here for it. But yeah, whatever. Like I said, I found you guys randomly. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I've been talking about my podcast, which is a fairly successful podcast as well. So I'm whatever you guys need. I am and will always be a WannaB.O boy.
Wow,
that is just. I mean, just a fact.
Yeah,
I'll never graduate. There's some things in life you'll never, but you want to keep doing it. You keep trying to get over that mountain. And I have 2 or 3 goals in life. Wanted to see my kids do well and to be happy and all that stuff. But really, ultimately, I just want to be an actual B.O. boy. I know that's not going to happen, but we all dream.
I mean, listen. The seat you're sitting in as a guest on the show, Scott Mendelsohn, the box office legend.
Yes, I heard him.
There. Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations Co. He's sat there. Brandon Gray.
He missed that Flash prediction, boy. But go ahead.
I mean, he was so overhyped for that. He got us so hyped.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It happens. We've all been there.
It happens. Who knows what prediction you might say that No Hard Feelings is going to open to $80 million this weekend. We're not going to hold it against you a month from now. That's not your legacy, Kirk.
Sure.
But you've made it to that spot. You're sitting in a spot where Scott Mendelsohn has sat.
Amazing.
So yeah,
amazing. Also amazing that Scott Mendelsohn, that's how I found you guys briefly. So he was on Matt Bellany's podcast.
Oh yeah, the Great Town. Matt Bellany has been on our show as well. Correct.
So he was on there, and I thought, this guy's interesting. Searched his name, and he'd been on with you guys previous to that. I think I'm getting this right. Yeah. And that's when I started getting. I was stunned. I thought Scott Mendelsohn was like 75, but I was stunned to listen to this. And then, like I said, I've been going back. I've been listening to B.O. Boys episodes from like 2021.
Yeah.
2022. So I'm in. Point is, I'm in. Whatever you need me to do for the next hour, let's do it. Let's get to
excellent.
work.
So, I mean, let's. So you have a show on Barstool, but you're saying you're not a Barstool bro. Because I mean, listen, my concept of Barstool is it's, Baby of the Week, and it's, podcast where it's just like, how drunk can we get for the next hour, and then whoever's the drunkest wins the podcast. Like that is my concept of the show.
A big one. Yeah. Well, I mean, just think of the fact I listen to this podcast and I go back and read old Billboard charts for music and old box office charts. I mean, there's nothing more bro than that, right? Now I do it, of course, with a couple of strippers next to me, and I'm drunk half the time. I mean, that's just. I mean, that's I'm coked in the nines right now. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean. Thursdays is for the B.O. boys. Saturdays is for the boys. That's how we look at it at the Barstool.
I love it. So we're going to get a little bit of the Barstool via Kirk.
Whatever you need.
What's going on with these R-rated comedies. So, I mean, let's get right into it. So we got No Hard Feelings coming out this weekend. It is an R-rated, gross-out comedy. It's a type of movie that has not had a big success in a long time. You got to go back to Good Boys in what was that, summer of 2019 or so, even to find something that's made $80 million at the box office. And this was a genre that used to be the Hangover movies making hundreds of millions worldwide. There's something about Mary making 150 domestic. So it really is a question of, is this genre viable? So Kirk, the listeners that you have, do you feel like they are yearning for this type of movie? Do they call up and they say, hey, these are the golf bets I placed yesterday, and I'm looking for a gross out comedy. Do you have any recommendations? Or do they just want the golf betting?
What's funny is, so today we take calls sometimes at the end of the show, and the guy, I think he knew I was coming on here, and he said he went to this AMC theater right in downtown Boston Common. He says he goes to sneak previews all the time, and they had one for this, and he said the past few months he'd gone to 3 or 4, went right in, and for this one sold out. And there were like 50 people turned away for it. Now that's anecdotal evidence, but I am an anecdotal evidence guy when it comes to box office.
Right.
Do I think that means probably that it's going to be in the higher end? I've seen estimations. I saw one today. Somebody tweeted 12 million for an opening weekend. That's the highest one I've seen so far.
Oh, it's like 12 to 15. It's looking like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's somewhere in the middle of that, what's crazy? So I don't know. The marketing of it is strange to me. Like, but I don't know how you market the fact that the guy who directed it directed Good Boys and co-created Jury Duty, which is a big hit right now but I don't know what that means to the average film goer. Jennifer Lawrence is a star, sure, okay, but I don't know. Put it this way: is the 25-year-old, 28-year-old guy going to go to the movie theaters this week to watch a comedy? I'm going to guess no on that. I'm going to guess the average age of the person going is going to be closer to like my age. I'm guessing.
Right. Yeah, where is the 25-year-old? I mean, they're obviously getting their comedy from the Kirk Minihane show. They're getting it from Barstool. But back in the day, I mean, listen, there was Howard Stern on the air in the 90s, and people were still going to see Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary. So where does that 25-year-old dude or lady or person, do they want to go into a movie theater anymore to laugh? Or do they feel that is now a private thing that you do on the toilet?
I feel like that's been replaced. Right. I feel like that's been replaced. I can just talk about my kids. I just feel like that's been replaced by 20-second clips on TikTok. And like my son, who's 11, Harry, will watch something on YouTube that makes no sense to me. I'm old, and he's laughing his ass off, and I have no idea what's going on. But for me to say to him, hey, let's go watch this comedy that's probably not even as outlandish as that thing, go to the theater and watch it for 100 minutes. I just think they have no interest in that now. I feel like that's never, you can't replicate what, how Spider-Man looked. I took my son to see that a couple weeks ago on the big screen, or a big Marvel movie on the big screen. But, can you wait? What's it going to be? 90 days max at most to watch this on TV?
Right.
I think a lot of people, I think it'll do pretty well there. But yeah, I feel like those days are over. I heard Scott Mendelson say this on your show the other day. I looked up, I think Trainwreck made 150 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Good Boys made over 100 million worldwide. So if this opens at 12, let's say opens at 13, 14, it'll probably be fairly leggy because it's a comedy in the summer, but that's not, what's it going to top out at? If I had to put a gun to your head and estimate final box office of this movie, is it going to make 40 million? 30 million?
If it opens at 12 or 15, then it probably tops out around 40.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this movie does at best 3 times what it opens at, so that's why a couple of months ago, I thought for sure this will be the revival. This will open to 25, get itself to 70 or so. But if these 12 to 15 estimates hold, then yeah, this is a movie that's going to make less than, it's going to make less than $40 million total.
So let's talk real quick about Jennifer Lawrence, because she is a star. We've mentioned this now, but she did take a break from being a star. So she has been gone since what, Pat? You have her box office history up there, right?
So her box office history sort of ends with Dark Phoenix in June of 2019. So, I mean, she's taken the pandemic off. Red Sparrow 2018, Dark Phoenix 2019. Dark Phoenix obviously is a movie she had basically a cameo in at gunpoint.
And obviously we're not counting the Leo Netflix movie.
No.
Right. Which was a hit in the way that any streaming movie can be a hit, in that they say people watched it, but
who knows?
There's no box office. Who knows?
Correct. Yeah.
So she's kind of been away for a while. And my thought was absence would make the heart grow fonder. We'd be excited the way when Leo takes a few years off. it's a big event when he comes back. But I don't know. I mean, Kirk, have you gotten, again, you got your callers who are calling in, asking who's the babe of the week, that kind of thing every day.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Have they been calling up about Jennifer Lawrence? When is the babe going to come back to the big screen?
No, I think she's kind of drifted away. That's what happens. I think, to your point, she's been gone for a few years. I know it's very important for Jennifer Lawrence that we all think she's relatable and we all think she's funny. So I think this is her moment where she's finally going to seem like, oh, I'm just like everybody else. And maybe she'll be very funny. I will say the early reviews so far are not overwhelming for them. So if it was one of these comedies that was like Superbad or Something About Mary, where it was just, you got to go see it. It's hilarious. There's these 3 or 4 moments. You're not going to believe it. Maybe that boosts it up like 10 or 15 million, but it's not going to be. I was looking at Something About Mary, just looking for comparisons. Something About Mary, this will never happen again.
Right.
Was number 1 in its 8th week. It hadn't been number 1 before that. It took 8 weeks for that movie to get to number 1. Saving Private Ryan came out after it, went all the way through. And Something About Mary still got to number 1. Like that's just obviously never going to happen again.
This unlike is Labor Day weekend of that year.
Correct.
It was September. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 2 months in. Yeah. I remember I went to see in New York a sneak preview about Something About Mary, and the crowd was like swaying. I saw them in front of me, and word of mouth, which doesn't, like, I don't know if this movie's really funny. And I tell a couple of people, I don't think they're going to go to the movie theater. They'll say, oh, great. We're just in an I'll wait generation when it comes to comedy now. Hopefully that'll change. But for a lot of people now, they think, a Netflix special's funnier,
right?
A YouTube special's funnier, a clip on TikTok's funnier. And it's hard to argue that's, you see these guys doing things that are way crazier. But then, I don't know. Then Jackass opens and makes 25 million, but I guess that's a franchise, so it's different.
Right. That's IP. Yeah.
There's also the concept of this film, which is that J Law, who I believe is supposed to be in her early 30s, possibly, or maybe late 20s in this movie, she decides to date a teenage boy to get a car from the parents, right?
Right.
And that should be aspirational. I think for our generation, people our age, the idea of that, if that happened to us when we were teenagers, that would be aspirational. I don't know if the younger generation looks at that sort of thing as aspirational anymore. And it's supposed to be a comedy, so it's supposed to be an idea that is, I don't want to say taboo because it's not that racy, but like to a lot of younger viewers, they might look at this concept and be turned off by it, which is something that is foreign to us, but maybe not to the younger crowd. Like this movie should appeal to young men who want to be that teenager and young women who like J-Law. But I don't know if there's enough of those people out there to want to go see this movie right now.
I'll be honest. I don't even think young guys or they're teenagers, like, people I don't even think they know this movie's coming out. Like, I just don't think they even know. Like, you're right. Like, I get what you're saying, but like the average 20-year-old kid, I see these guys all the time, these meatheads in college. They don't know a movie's coming out. Like, they might know, I'm trying to think of a monster movie from the last couple of weeks. Whatever, Spider-Man.
Spider-Verse. They all knew that.
Right.
Every frat house in America knew that Spider-Verse was opening.
I'll give you a little more anecdotal evidence from Harry Minihane, my son. We went and saw Guardians together. He's only 11, so I don't think he's quite ready to be, wooed by Jennifer Lawrence yet. Not yet.
Right.
But
maybe in the sequel.
Could be in the sequel. Yeah. But we saw before Guardians, I think it was. We saw 2. We saw this movie trailer, which got some laughs. But then he and a bunch of other kids were going crazy for the Will Ferrell
Strays.
Yes, going like nuts. And I was like, oh, this might be a sleeper hit. Like, and for some reason that just appealed to they found that funnier than sort of the old. Now I understand it's gonna be gross out funny, but sort of the old concept of, oh, here's the girl, oh, she's kind of messed up, and here's the young impressionable geeky kid, and oh, like, are they gonna get it felt a little on the nose, where this one, the audience was like a bunch of kids, they were going crazy for Strays. Crazy.
Yeah, it could be that, like you said, they're used to TikTok on the phone comedy, and there's a lot of animals in those videos. So they just might be, the young generation might be more used to laughing at pets than they are laughing at humans.
And I'm spitballing here, okay?
Right.
How about Jennifer Lawrence with an animal? Do you see anything there? Is there something to that? Where she's a young, impressionable, the parents are very protective, sort of a geek animal.
Yeah.
Right,
She sort of, makes it an adult in some way.
Right.
Is that, I understand that's some legal boundaries. There may be some stuff from the PETA people.
Yeah.
Right. But
But as long as you don't harm the animal on set.
Right. I mean, look, there are 45 horses died at church. I'm talking about, like a CGI one where she.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I would watch.
Right. You don't do like that Dustin Hoffman HBO show where you kill all the horses.
No, the Michael Mann show. Yeah,
you can't do that. You can't do that anymore. Not these days. But I mean, listen, here's the thing with this No Hard Feelings. The kid who's the lead is I'm sure he's a nice guy, whatever, but he's a nobody. He's not bringing it into the box office. So replace him with a dog or a horse or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think worst case, it's a push in terms of star power. And then, like you said, maybe people are more into the dog concept.
And that is,
people know it's coming out. Yeah.
That's never been done before, right? Because like you said, I mean, the nerd and the hot girl, that has been done in every single
Revenge of the Nerds, Risky Business. I mean, we've seen it,
I Love You, Beth Cooper, a movie that completely bombed, right?
Even some about Mary, yeah.
Yeah, so these movies, there's nothing new. The plus to this is Jennifer Lawrence in a purely comedic role, which she has rarely or never done, because Don't Look Up, I don't think, was comedic.
No, it's modern Adam McKay, so it's
not comedic.
Yeah.
And so everything else she's done, I mean, her public persona is she's fun and funny and hangs out with Amy Schumer, but her film work has all pretty much been, I'm trying not to die in the Hunger Games, and I'm a poor woman in the Ozarks or whatever. And, all her stuff is, she did the David O. Russell, which there's comedic tinges to it, but she hasn't done the pure sort of like Cameron Diaz has done goofy comedies, right? So she is a star that is supposed to be a proven talent, but like what we said, she's been gone for a little while and the cultural memory is very short. So is this enough of a plus one for people to want to see this concept, which has been done numerous times before? And I fear that it's not.
Yeah.
What's a win? When you guys do this on Monday, what's a win? Is
I mean,
14 million, would you say a win?
It's tough because that's the high end of the current tracking, but a couple of when this movie's announced, we were looking at this should open over 20, maybe it gets to 30 if everything breaks right. So if this movie comes in at 13, 14, I still don't see that as a win. I do think it's got to hit 17 or 18 for us on Monday to be going bananas for this, for us to really be saying that she still has star power, that gross out comedy still have a chance. Obviously, it could leg out even from a smaller opening. I mean, look, the Something About Mary opened at like 11 million back in 97, 98, whenever that was. Yeah. But that is a historic run. It's a run that I think got us all in, one of the runs that got us all into loving box office in the first place. I mean, I remember where I was sitting in the back of my grandfather's car when I opened up the Daily News and saw that on Monday morning.
Right.
It's a moment in time.
Now I know we don't do inflation here, but
we don't.
No, we don't. But 11 million in 98 is obviously, I mean, we're talking. I'm not doing. I know it. I looked it up, but I'm not going to do it because we don't do it here. I'll do it off the air. I'm not doing it. I won't do it.
Yeah. We don't do it here. We don't do it on Barstool. Yeah, no inflation.
No. But it's significantly more. But yeah, I mean, I don't. If it's pretty good though, like a comedy like this, it's kind of alone in the wilderness. I would think if it's pretty good. It does well, it'll probably do okay for 3 or 4 weeks because there's no competition for it. Like it's in its own little silo.
Well, it needs to have, going back to Something About Mary or An American Pie or some of the Hangover movies, it needs to have that moment, or even a Bridesmaids in 2010 or 2011 with the everyone shitting in the sink moment, shitting in the street, shitting in the sink. It needs to have that signature gross out gag or two that people talk about. Is there a splooge in the hair in No Hard Feelings? That splooge in the hair, summer of 98, it's all anyone could talk about. Right. That was water cooler at the office every day, people interrupting meetings, calling into Howard Stern to talk about the splooge in the hair. And listen, we haven't seen this movie, but it needs to have something like that to have a leg.
And I feel like if they had that scene, they would have promoted it. Like, if they had that one indelible comedic image that would make you think of this movie years from now, they would have at least teased it, and I don't feel like they do. And I don't think it's worth keeping your cards close to your vest when it comes to this. If you have a barn-burning sort of set piece, just show it. Not the whole thing, but at least tease it.
It's tough, though, because once you show it, it's on Twitter 3 weeks before the movie comes out, and
that's
then
the difference.
people are sick of it by then. Whereas back in the day, they'd hint at it for something about Mary in the TV commercial, and then you'd have to pay to see it.
Do we think that Jennifer Lawrence in this movie has that moment where she has a heart and she realizes he's a good kid and she doesn't bang him? Or do they have sex in this film? That to me is another moment where if she has a full blown out, let it rip comedic sex scene with this guy, that could work.
I mean, we have talked about that. We've talked about that where we fear that this movie is going to end with him not having had sex with her and him ended up with some nice girl. She just got him out of her shell, right?
Right.
She's like watching from far away and they're walking away together and she kind of, but she's still kind of goofy and she walks away on her own and
and she trips.
Right. Some bad song plays. Yeah.
She rolls down a hill, but that's not splooging the hair.
No, but the great old comedies, like I think of like Slapshot or I think the original Bad News Bears where Walter Matthau didn't change. He was a drunk. He was a bad guy. Like he was nicer to him, but at the end he was still the same guy. Same thing with Reg Dunlop in Slapshot. Even the guys in the Animal House, like the guys in the Animal House, this would have happened. Like they would have this. Here, you're right. I would say this, as I say in my show all the time. This is a Kirk Minihane guarantee.
Okay.
There is zero chance that there is a actual sex scene with the two of them that actually involves the moment itself. Will not happen.
Wow.
They'll be drunk or he'll be drunk at some point. She'll put him to bed.
Yeah.
She'll kind of look at him and then turn off the light and then walk. Matthew Broderick will look up at and she'll look at him. Broderick's the dad, right?
Broderick's
yes,
the dad.
Yes.
Yeah. And she'll be like, yeah, you got a really good kid here or something. You'll be like, oh, what the fuck am I watching? That's my prediction.
I bet you they try, but they can't because the kid won't do it or something like that. The kid will reject it or whatever. Yeah. I think the big thing though with this is that Jennifer Lawrence had gotten comedy scripts before and she said, I didn't do them because they weren't funny. This made me laugh out loud. She might be a big enough, like powerful enough person to push through a movie where something like that happens. Right. And this be the reason why she does this movie, because she's like, other scripts I read, I didn't have sex with the teenage boy.
Sure.
This one I did. I mean, there's a possibility there. But again, I'm more on your camp. I mean, I feel like that just can't happen right now. And I don't think it'll happen, but who knows? That would blow people's minds. But we haven't heard any about people have seen this movie and we have not heard any sort of controversy on Reddit or anything or Twitter about that. And we would have already.
Yeah. And I love, by the way, I love Good Boys. I thought Good Boys was a great comedy. Like that was a good, really good, this guy just did a really good studio. If this is as funny as that's a win. I mean,
Well, here's something that, and I think me and Clayton may have said this on air or off air, who knows, we're always talking box office, but if they had gotten the star of Good Boys, Jacob Tremblay,
I heard you say this, yes,
to be the lead in this with her, and I don't know, how old is he? Is he old enough to be allowed to date Jennifer Lawrence in a movie? He's got to be 18 by now, but if either way, you fudge the ages, if they had gotten Jacob Tremblay as the star of this, then I think we're looking at a $20 million plus opening.
And he's 16.
He's 16. It's close. They would have had to film it when he's 14 or 15. So legally they couldn't. So
could film it in Pennsylvania, possibly.
True. Yeah.
So they had to go with this no name, who again could be a very nice person, but we don't know who this is. So another, last thing on this movie is you did say, Kirk, that people might not even know it exists, and I think a problem with that is the J-Law promotional tour has felt a little lacking. Obviously with the writer's strike, there's no talk show, so she can't do Dave, she can't do Jay right now, can't go out there and promote.
She can't flirt with Craig Ferguson.
Right. And that's J-Law's big thing, is that she's great at those shows. She makes the host think that she's in love with them, makes the audience of those shows think then by transitive property she's also in love with them. So it's great.
Right.
But she can't do those. And I haven't, me and Clayton looked this up. She's done a couple of like internet things, People Magazine, Wired type stuff.
She did GMA.
She's doing the wings this week, right?
Well, yeah, we were going to break this a couple hours ago. No, it's fine. We love this. We were going to break that news here that she is doing Hot Ones. That is the crown jewel of the internet talk show. And so, I mean, she got that. So we'll see how she performs on that. If she can do the whole thing and not drink any milk, that'll bode well for the box office on this.
Yeah, but she's done she hasn't done Marin or anything like that, right?
No, she hasn't. Well, right, she did do
Bill Simmons.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you heard that episode.
It sounded great. It was clear as day.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty sharp. It's not like my producer Colonnade did it. It was a disaster. Jesus. And there's a couple of times too where it's actually another caller to the show a couple of days ago said, where at one point she messed up a couple of movies. She didn't really know John. It sounded like overall I bailed. It sounded so bad that I had to bail like 20 minutes.
Now, can we ask you a question there?
Yeah.
Do you push buttons at your job there? Do you push any of the buttons? Do they?
Are you asking if? I don't mean to do this to you because I am here at service for you guys. Are you asking podcast Jesus? If he pushes his own buttons?
I'm asking you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't push any buttons, do you?
Fuck no. Of course not. No.
Of course you don't push buttons. So why is Bill Simmons pushing any buttons? Why is he pushing any buttons in his entire life?
That's a great question.
On his remote control for his 15 television he watches football on Sundays for. The man should not be pushing any buttons in any of his life, let alone during a podcast with one of the biggest stars that he's ever interviewed. Well, he's pushing a button.
And you're in a tough spot there too, because you know what's funny is if you look back, so I know Bill pretty well. I've known him a long time.
Yeah.
We've had some ups and downs, but I did this show once and my sound was actually worse than hers. And I don't know why. I was called from a perfectly clear phone. It's weird, but you're in a tough spot after that too, though, when you're done and you hear it. You can't call her up and say, "Hey, can we do that again?"
Run it back.
You have to run it. I think you're porked. I think you do have to run it, but you're right. I mean, I imagine Bill has producers who do that. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't. That's a disaster, though. It's a disaster for her too. And overall, just you know what? That to me is going to cost the movie $600,000.
I agree. Wow. I agree.
600,000.
I mean, the Rewatchables is a well listened to podcast.
For sure.
It was one of the biggest things that we've seen her do promotion wise. And I mean, she sounds fine because she sounds just like any kind of Zoom that you would have a celebrity do. She actually sounded really good for a Zoom.
Right.
But he sounded terrible. Yeah. He sounded terrible.
Awful. Yeah. I don't. That doesn't. That's the kind of thing when a movie bombs and you read the magazine or book about it later. That's one of the things that goes in there. It's just
So
like if Chris Christopherson had done a Heaven's Gate episode before the movie, that it wouldn't have sounded good. That's how life goes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right here on the BO Boys, we have Kirk Minihane predicting that Bill Simmons cost this movie $600,000 at the box office.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. When why and you know. Get her on. She's got to be looking for last minute big promotional push. And listen, the invite's open for the BO Boys. But I don't know. Maybe it hasn't gotten to her people yet. But getting her on the Kirk Minihane show seems like a no-brainer to again reach your vast frat boy audience there. She should be the babe of the week this week.
Hundreds of thousands of downloads per episode for us. And my producer can't get James Eckhouse, the dad on 90210 I want to have on. So I think Jennifer Lawrence is probably a big. We had Paul Reiser a couple of weeks ago, and for us it was a big moment. So there's a stink attached to my name sometimes, which look, I can understand. I don't think Jennifer Lawrence, although like if she was smart, I'm not saying she should go on the Kirk Minihane show. My boss and my friend and sometimes enemy Dave Portnoy does the pizza review, which is
Presidente, yeah.
I mean, Jennifer, get a slice of pizza with Portnoy in New York and talk about the movie. That movie, if you put a little clip up there, get a pizza with Portnoy, a couple million people watch it. The Barstool guys will see her goofing around, looking great, and say, you know what? That would add at least the $600,000 back.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So let's go. We only got maybe, and for all I know, it's happening, but that's what she should be doing.
I mean, if I go to YouTube tomorrow morning and I check out the One Bite Pizza reviews with Davey Page Reviews, right? That's the name.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Lawrence is standing outside of a pizza shop.
Let's do it.
And they're talking about the flop and they're talking about the undercarriage. and she gives a rookie score. She gives it I feel like she won't give it a rookie score, though. I feel like she will do the percentage points, but who knows? She might give it a rookie score.
Her people will prep her. So
they got
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I will flip out. I mean, we're seeing this movie on Friday, no matter what, me and Pat. So that it's a slam dunk for us.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if she's there gobbling pizza next to the president to Prez himself, that's going to bring people in.
Absolutely.
That's going to bring people in 100%.
Yeah. Way more. I mean, way more than a sit down with people.com. I was wondering, these things are so antiquated. When I see these people make their rounds, I'm thinking, what are they, I bet you should be on that CBS Sunday morning show being interviewed by Jane Pauley.
Yeah.
It's like a 74-year-old is not going to go see this fucking movie. Like, what? Right. Do you want to make money or not? Do you want to get likes? Do you want people to say, oh, you're really thoughtful? Or do you want people to go see your goddamn movie? Pick a lane. Either way, fine. None of my business, but you want to make money or not? Who's
watching GMA and going to see this movie?
Nobody. No, not a person. No one. Zero.
Yeah.
Right. So she's this promotional tour. Hopefully it really kicks up in the last minute. She's eating some pizza. She's doing some stunts, getting out there. But moving on, another movie that is going wide this weekend. It had a great per screen average in its limited release last weekend. Asteroid City, Wes Anderson. So now this is a art house film. It's for the coastal elites, but can it cross over to the plain billies, to the stacks dwellers, to the earth dogs, to the frat boys, the frat listeners, the frat people,
the Stoolies,
the
Minifans.
Yes,
thank you.
Does Wes Anderson cross over to the Minifans, to the Stoolies? Does he have any kind of hold there, or is it just the coastal elites?
Oh, I can't tell you the amount of conversations I've had with Barstool employees, but the Darjeeling Limited over the years. It's endless. Oh, it's just, of course. No, it's going to be like every other Wes Anderson movie. It might be better than some, I stand by Wes Anderson's two best movies to me are his first two movies, Bottle Rocket and Rushmore. That's me. Okay. Those are my two favorite of his. Mm-hmm. I know this did really well. It played in New York and LA or whatever, but like, is this going to play in Des Moines? Of course not. I know Tom Hanks is in it and Scarlett Johansson and all that stuff, but I mean, this movie is, I'm going to go see it. I see all his movies, but this is not a movie that's going to cross over. There's no chance of that happening. None.
Well, but it's a movie about actors making a play, making a movie about scientists. So
that's
don't
true.
think
I hadn't factored that in. That's a good point. And it's just Wes Anderson's movies are cold. Like they're just not for the general audience, and that's okay. But like, I mean, I don't know. Is it going to make $8-9 million total in domestic? 12 million?
His last movie, he does
French Dispatch.
French Dispatch made 16 million total in October 2021. So that's still domestic, and then another 29 foreign. So it made 45 worldwide. He's got his fans. In Paris, this is going to play. This is going to play for a year and a half straight in a bunch of theaters in Europe.
Right.
But he does have his fan base. 16 million in October 2021. That is pretty good because I mean that's still at a time when people weren't really going back, and his highest ever was Grand Budapest Hotel, got 59 million domestic, another 104 worldwide. So but that's the ceiling, and I don't know if he'll ever reach that again. The question is whether Asteroid City gets him more to the Isle of Dogs, get to 30 or 40 million domestic. Moonrise Kingdom made 45 million in 2012. That might as well have been a million years ago. Does this have more appeal than some of his recent movies is the thing.
I don't see it. We were talking about this by the water cooler here. It's almost to the point this one looks like parody. And Pat, you brought up that there's a lot of people doing Wes Anderson homages on TikTok and YouTube and things like that. He's become he's always been since his inception, but really now with the generation that wasn't born when Bottle Rocket came out, he is just an established, this is what a Wes Anderson movie looks like. So we can very easily parody it. But are they goofing on it out of love, or are they goofing on it because he's this old white dude who makes these movies where everything is centered in these color scheme and all this stuff? We don't know. I mean, this had the best, didn't it have, it had the best limited per screen since...
Well, it had one of the best
2019, I think, right?
Year,
yeah. So since pre-pandemic. So, but that's the coast. We know the coast love Wes. I mean, the coast will come out for him. middle America. I don't see any pluses in this movie that is going to put people's butts in the seats that wouldn't be in the seats for French Dispatch or what was the previous one? Not Isle of Dogs, because that's animated. Those usually do better for him. What was the one right before that?
Moonrise Kingdom.
Moonrise Kingdom.
I mean, he also just has not made a lot of movies, so he does keep himself sort of special, even if they're all kind of the same.
I think but I just don't see this one being the breakout. I mean, Tom Hanks being in it instead of Bill Murray, that's not really anything. And Scarlett Johansson, of course, she is big in the Black Widow, Avengers movies, but we saw her in the Black Widow movie. She couldn't have a huge hit with that. So I don't think she's necessarily a butts in the seats draw to be in this movie. She's definitely a very famous person and a star, but I don't know if that's going to bring people.
Has she ever been a babe of the week on the Kirk Minihane show?
I don't think so. She's a handsome woman for sure, but I don't think she's made it there yet. And I do like her as an actress, but I have to say I'd never, if you had said to me how much of the French Dispatch makes, I knew it came out in 2021, I would never said that has to be the base for this will do better than that.
Yeah.
Just because of the more people going to the theater. Yeah.
And I think just more people, it seems like people just like this one more too. It feels like this one the reviews are really good. And French Dispatch, I did not. I have to admit, I think I'm a lot of people now. I'm kind of Wes Anderson out. Like I get it at this point. Like you like the New Yorker and you wear a tweed jacket and I'll go see it because I see basically everything I can, but I'm not feeling it. But yeah, it'll make over 15.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think
22 is what I say.
That's a good number.
22.
That's a good number.
What about you, Pat?
Well, I think it depends
Domestic
on
run.
If this movie gets Oscar buzz and starts to feel like it's going to get a Best Picture nom, then it could get itself to 30 with a long play into the fall even. If this really does feel like this is now a Best Picture contender, which I'm starting to hear. So I am a little higher on this one. But I do think the ceiling for this is it legs out to 30 by like November, it just hangs around and plays till then. I don't see this breaking out like Grand Budapest. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, if this TikTok parody, AI parody trend does mean that young people are getting into him, like, does your son know who Wes Anderson is? Has he made a TikTok parody of Wes Anderson?
I don't believe he's done Gone with the Wind or Star Wars or whatever else they've done for Wes Anderson. No, not yet. I mean, I would guess my daughter who's 16 may have scrolled across one of those on TikTok or something at one point, but I don't think, I know I took her when she was young to see the Fantastic Mr. Fox. She liked it. But I don't think that's going to carry over 12 years later. I think to want her to go see Asteroid City at the box office is going to be my guess.
Right. And it's with these Wes Anderson movies, one of the big draws always at the end of the trailer, it's the big list of names. You just can't believe how many actors are in this one movie. And it'll be, this one is ScarJo and Tom Hanks. And then you get 15 people down and it's Laura Linney and Liev Schreiber and Hope Davis and that level of person. And they're all famous to us. But if you're 15 or 16, you might as well just be running a long list of like your friends' uncles.
Yeah, Matt Dillon is not getting my teenage daughter and her friends worked up to go to the movie theater. Yeah, as much as I like Matt Dillon, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, we're all excited to see Matt Dillon back, see how he looks, but your daughter doesn't care.
Not so much.
And he does need to, and I don't think this is the case for every movie, but he does need to start working in some famous YouTubers and TikTok stars. And because he's got so many parts in these movies anyway, why not?
You want Mr. Beast in there, maybe.
Get Mr. Beast, get Logan
Paul.
You guys always want Logan Paul.
He's a good, he's been the movies that I've seen him in, he's been very magnetic. He's a WWE superstar in the making, right? I feel like his trajectory might be YouTuber, failed kind of movie actor, then WWE movie star, wrestling star, and then movie star,
and then back to movie star.
I think he goes back to movie star. That is what I feel like with him.
Yeah. And I think these Wes Anderson movies have a long enough cast that you could throw Logan Paul's and Mr. Beast in there, and they're in there for 1 minute, and they're just waving at the camera from far away, like you see in the TikTok videos.
Put Smosh in it.
Right. Yeah. Is Smosh? Yeah. I mean, this could be a way of using Smosh's old fan base and getting them back. So yeah, I think the Wes Anderson cast, it's time to, you don't need Hope Davis 16th down in the call list. Replace her with, like an Instagram makeup
Sure.
vlogger.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So Asteroid City. So a couple of recent movies that we want to ask you about, Kirk. We want to get your take on Pixar, because Elementals came out last week and it was a disaster.
Elemental. We always do this. It's singular.
It's one elemental. Right. It's
the
multiple
beasts are rising, and there's one single element.
So there's one elemental, which maybe was a problem. They should have had more in that. But Elemental totally bombed last weekend.
Yeah.
Under 30 million, lowest opening Pixar movie ever, other than the original Toy Story, which was 30 plus years ago.
Right.
Do you think Pixar is dead? Because that's the hotly debated thing around town right now. Is Pixar finished as a brand? Does Pixar have any equity amongst the Stoolies? Do the Barstoolies care? Do the bros care about Pixar?
Not a lot of inside out love, to my knowledge, from the Barstool guys. Again, I'll go back to Harry Minihane. Kate Minihane loves Inside Out, but she's a teenager now. She's left that world. Though teenagers used to go see these movies. Right. Harry's 11, and he's a boy, but he's 11 years old. An 11-year-old in 1995 would have seen Toy Story, or 10 years ago would have seen Up or whatever. We went to see Spider-Man a few weeks ago. The idea for me the next week to say, hey, let's go see Elemental or whatever, he would have been like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't even exist to these kids anymore. They've been knocked out by movies like that, by Marvel movies, which in a lot of ways I think have replaced Pixar movies.
Yep.
And definitely, and I think you guys said this a couple of episodes ago, for sure, movies like Minions and these other ones, they're just, it doesn't matter if the Pixar movies are pretty good, and they just seem small now. They seem, and I do think the pandemic and putting them on Disney Plus minimized them too, but you see this now, and it just seems like a shriveled old uncle next to the Spider-Man movie, where it's just, why it feels like work now to go in and see one of these movies. I mean, could some movie come out and revive, like Toy Story 5's come out in a couple of years, right?
Oh yeah. They're doing the full sequel stuff with
that'll do really well, but that's nostalgia. Like
they got to bring Tim Allen back.
Tim Allen is coming back on this.
Okay,
one. He'll be back for this one.
They're doing Inside Out 2.
That is
happening.
Yep, doing Inside Out 2. Stuff like that will do well, but the original stuff, no. I mean, unless it's something that something that clicks musically, maybe. But even then, I don't. It's just not part of the conversation anymore. It's weird. And look, everything ends, right? Like, but it feels like this one came to like a swift, out of nowhere, just beheading, where it's just, and I don't know what the answer is for Pixar to, I don't know how they appeal to, because 12, 13-year-old kids now are on social media. They're on YouTube. They're on TikTok. Like my son, Harry, now, he's like, he'll say to me, like, you ever been to Wendy's? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Wendy's nuts are rolling around. Like, you're dealing with that kind of sense of humor.
Right.
You can't beat it, right?
No, that's great.
Yeah. And that's from the Minions movies?
I think it is, right? Or is it? Yes. They do stuff like, both of these nuts. And it's like, you're not getting that in Pixar movies. I think Pixar needs to, I'm not saying they need to
dirty it up.
Well, again, I'm not saying I need Inside Out 2, that girl in high school, maybe in college or something. I don't know what we're going to do,
right?
But that audience, unless it's a made nostalgic sequel, Pixar is, to me, I think they're dead.
Kirk, it's music to my ears, because I've been beating this drum and everybody shouts me down on my own show, shouting me down about Pixar.
Yeah.
And
he's still smarting from the Matt Bellany appearance last year.
Matt Bellany is like one of these weird guys who I think goes to Disney by himself all the time. I like Bellany, but it seems like he's a very Disney guy. So he's very protective, I think.
Yes, and that is my point, is the people who worry and care and shout you down when you say Pixar has lost it and is diminishing are middle-aged men.
Correct.
Kids don't care. And I love you invoked your child here, because if you told your child that, guess what? They're not, that company that made that movie about the dead jazz musician isn't making movies anymore. He would say, hey, lick these nuts or whatever. He'd be more clever. He'd be more clever than me.
Yeah, that's about right.
But if you said they're not making a Mario sequel, he'd be like, why not? What?
Well,
right?
I'll even top you. If I said to Harry, they're not releasing another Demon Slayer movie, He would say, "What?" We went. That's the first movie we went to see during the pandemic. Was that Demon Slayer movie? He and I went in there. Let's. You guys think I care about movies? I put my life on the line, and my son's life on the line.
Heroes
to go see Demon Slayer. I fell asleep, but still, and that's when I started clicking to me that there's something going on here I didn't know about, because it made like I forget, you guys would know, 20 million or something.
It made almost as much. That was the same weekend as the Mortal Kombat movie,
right?
And they both made over 20.
It was a shootout,
and it was packed in there, and I was like, because they were projecting almost nothing for it. I was like, holy shit, this movie's going to make a ton of money. But if I said to Harry Minihane, no more Demon Slayer, he would go nuts. If I said to him, hey, guess what? The guys who brought you up and whatever are going to be, he'd say, okay, well, good luck to them. I don't know what to say.
No more movies like Luca.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like medicine to those kids now. And when it started, it was great. Toy Story was wonderful. It was magical. No question about it. And when it's good, it's good. But they need to, I don't even know what you do at that point. I don't know how you compete with the Mario Brothers and I guess the Minions maybe, but I just don't know how you do that to an audience that's a 10, 12, 14-year-old kids who are conditioned to funnier, more mature stuff when you're not that anymore. And you're right. I think it's for, if you went to see Toy Story and you were 10, you are now nearing 40 years old.
You're over 40 years old if you were 10 years old then.
Well, 85, you'd be 38 or whatever. So like that's like that, that's probably like who's going to those movies now.
Oh, absolutely. That's the attachment is elder millennials and maybe a little bit older, but the younger kids don't care. And Pat, I mean, I love that you're talking about Demon Slayer, because I have this, it's not an argument with Pat, but we go back and forth about adult animation, which I say is the future of box office, because these young kids are watching anime. They watch cartoons that have adult themes. They have violence. They have all these different things that they don't have in American movies, right? Yeah. And that's the future. Those movies, I'm not saying it's the future 2 years from now, 5 years from, but in the future, when those kids are at the age where they are greenlighting projects, or they're in their 20s and they're going to see these movies or whatever, or they're pitching ideas, they're going to be adult animation because they're raised on it. So that is a way forward for these sort of, dead IPs. They could be animated cartoons the way the Spider-Man movie is. Now, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be tomorrow, because we still have to get through a laundry list of terrible superhero movies that are in the pipeline. Right. And we're going to have to get past that to get to those. But that's going to be the future. It's going to be video game movies, and it's going to be adult animation.
Yeah, I thought I was thinking about this because obviously this sounds like this movie stinks. Indiana Jones might have been a great animated movie. Like, but that's obviously not, you have Harrison Ford, but you're right. Like, that's what these kids are into now. Now things change, I guess, but for sure now I can tell you that, none of my kids nobody I know has seen Elemental. Nobody. It's just not part of the conversation.
Well, it's next week, but let's just, since you touched on it, we are prime Indiana Jones generation. We're all pretty close in age, and we all either saw, Raiders as kids or Last Crusade. I remember summer of '89, greatest movie summer ever. I saw Last Crusade in May, and then I saw Batman '89 a month later. Greatest summer movie season on record. But Indy 5 opens next week. It feels like a disaster. Is there any hope for this? Again, the Stoolies, the frat guys, do they give an S about Indiana Jones at all?
Now, again, I'm going to say this is not a big Fleabag crowd either. So I'm just,
I'm the outlier there. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no. Pat's babe of the week. That's Pat's babe of the week.
No, I
like the show. I like the show a lot, but I actually, it was a really good show, but I don't think people are going to flock to the theaters because she was in the show that 18 people watched on, I was one of them on, it was an Amazon. It was Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon
Prime.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Now I know the reviews are bad for this. And to be clear, guys, because I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I'm not a critic, okay? Thank you very much. But the reviews for it are going to be disastrous. I understand that. I don't think, like, if you had said to me 2 years ago, what would it make opening weekend, not counting the pandemic, I would have said like 120, 130 million.
Yeah.
75 million. There's no, Indiana Jones, oddly, as much as we like it, didn't make that generational crossover. Like it just, it's not as big as Star Wars obviously was or whatever, but like it just didn't get, there are certain movies that got handed down to sort of the kids who handed it down to, and this is not one of them. Like, there's it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's like, I think Jurassic Park, we saw with that last trilogy, that did get handed down. That trilogy was gigantic. I agree. I don't think Indiana Jones really got passed down, because you look at part 4, that was a giant hit, but that was a giant hit in what, 2010 or so?
Ago. I think it was 8 or 9.
Yeah, it was that long ago. And that was a hit based on us, our generation, who was in their, late 20s, early 30s then. So that same group now is in their 40s, have a lot of stuff to do, subscribe to all the streaming services, and they got what they thought was the last Indiana Jones already. We went to the bad one because we were going to go see one more, and that happened for us already.
Well, out of curiosity, in this, what was, and I understand pandemic related, what was Ghostbusters opening weekend a couple of years ago?
So I think that was
Afterlife.
Yeah, I
think 40.
I think that did get to 40 and then got to like probably 30 or so.
Okay. This will be bigger than that. Okay. But
it'll be bigger than that, but I think the legs on this are going to be
quick.
A disaster.
And also, you could, back when Crystal Skull came out, the internet was not, people were on it, but it's not the life. It's not the life of people the way it is now. Like they're on it 24/7, right? Where this is what happened to Flash and why it started falling from Thursday to Friday to Saturday, Sunday, because the word of mouth on that was poisonous. And so that you could release a bad movie and it opened to big numbers back before you could instantaneously tweet out that this movie stinks and don't see it. So the thing with Crystal Skull is it opened big, but nobody liked it. This will not open big because by Thursday night, I mean, people already think it's bad, but by Thursday night, it's going to be definitive that the regular folks, the salt of the earth, have seen it and they are rejecting it.
Which I thought, he's not my favorite director. He's fine. I thought James Mangold would at least give you a solid piece of Hollywood entertainment for a couple of hours.
Ford v. Ferrari was a great movie.
Very good movie.
One of the last very good adult sort of.
Made $100 million. Yeah. I feel like this could. I'm stunned that it's this bad, but to your point, it's already out there. It's a stinker, and nobody's going to talk about it. It'll make. What do you guys? Well, I want to have you guys make your predictions. Yeah,
I mean, it's feeling like something that could go as low as nearly Flash at this point. Yeah. Like this could open at 60. I think the buzz is so bad. James Mangold is great, but Harrison Ford is 90 years old, and he's in an action movie. I think that is just an inherent flaw of this movie. And they didn't cast, as much as she's my baby of the week, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not a Angelina Jolie type.
That's a Jennifer Lawrence role. That's where you might want to see Jennifer Lawrence.
I mean, in all honesty, the same movie with Jennifer Lawrence in that role, I think we're talking about a totally different box office because she's a draw and she's a accepted action star.
How about the same summer? Like maybe she plays a different character in the Indiana Jones movie. In the same summer, within a week, she has a romantic relationship with a 16-year-old and an 80-year-old in back-to-back movies. That'd be an incredible accomplishment.
Well, that would be.
And that evens it out because then you can't criticize her.
Mid-40s.
The median age, would be appropriate.
Yeah. Then she would be a 30-year-old woman dating a 40-year-old man, which is exactly what we're all here for that.
But you made a good, and I'm sure you guys want to get, but you guys made a good point in the last episode. I was thinking about it a lot today, is like, where are these movies from last summer that did well? Everything this summer is falling short compared to everything is falling short compared to last summer. I'm not counting Mario Brothers. That wasn't the summer. Even Guardians is kind of a wash with Thor. Like I'm not sure why. Like the pandemic's done. I'm not sure why. The movies just aren't as good.
Yep. It's the product. It's the product because this is the biggest thing that the Minifans, the Stoolies can take from this episode that they listen to is that you're going to hear lies out there about how no one wants to go to the theater. No one wants to go see movies. That is incorrect. People want to go see movies, okay? Just because people who blog all day and stay indoors and they say they watch all their movies at home. That's not the real world. There's people who go out and they work a 9-to-5 job and they want to go somewhere to just be entertained, and they don't want it to be their house. They don't want it to be their apartment, or their kids who don't want to be around their parents. They want freedom. They want to go to a dark theater with their friends and see a movie and throw candy and,
do whatever.
We're
not
right?
gonna.
You're saying Joe, whatever, in the middle of Iowa, goes home 5 o'clock, washes his hands,
Joe lunch pail.
Gets a pizza and wants to go see Indiana Jones.
Exactly. So that's the thing, though. But that person isn't going to just eat whatever slop is given. They want a good movie. You see Maverick. Maverick did big numbers because it was a great film. Okay. The problem is the product. The problem is the product and also the screens. I mean, we've said this and you've heard this. More PLFs. We need more IMAX. It is true that it's too expensive to go to the theater when you're sitting in a ratty chair with horrible sound and bad lighting. Like, that is not worth it. But when you go to an IMAX or when you go to a nice PLF, a Dolby, right, with the chairs you can lean back, those are experiences you cannot get at home. Okay. And people want those, but they also want the actual product to be good. And the product has not been good this year.
And the ones that have been good, Creed, Guardians, Spider-Man, people have gone to see.
John Wick 4.
John Wick 4 is another good one. Yeah. The people have gone to see those movies. If they stink, like the Paul Rudd one from whatever the hell it was.
Quantumania.
Nobody's going to go see it, or Fast. Right. I did not see the Fast movie.
X.
Yeah, but like nobody, statistically, Flash, nobody went to see it. People are, there's something to that. Yeah, that's an important lesson. I agree. It's an important lesson for the Minifans and the Stoolies. Tattoo that behind your eyelids because that's important. Those are important facts right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to get into our top 5 predictions right now. So we'll attach numbers to the new openers if those are in your top 5. So we'll give our top 5s, and should we give the guest the honor of going first or the honor of going last? We don't want to go in the middle.
I will defer. I will go. I trust you guys way more than me.
All right. So Clayton, would you like to start off with your top 5 prediction for the weekend of Friday, June 23rd?
So I'm flying blind here because we're using my phone to stream, so I can't look at any numbers right now. So this is going to be
off the dome.
This is off the dome, but help me if I'm effing up here. Okay. I do think Spideyverse. I think it goes back to number 1.
Wow.
Okay.
Jesus,
I think it happens. I think it happens. I've said this to Pat. I work with youngsters, people that are in that prime demo, and they never talk about movies. And this is the movie that they've been talking about. So I think this is going to be a movie that is going to be number 1. Flash retains the PLFs. So that in itself is going to make it close, but I think Flash is number 2. And I think it's a big drop. I mean, I think it's not as big as it could be just because it opened so low. But I mean, this is definitely high 60s drop here, right?
Wow.
It's got to be. I mean, it may be more than that. This could be, we're looking at 71. We're looking at Morbius situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 2. Then No Hard Feelings, I do think is number 3. And I'm going to go Lucky 13. And I know that I'd love it to be 20. I'd love this to be number 1, but I just don't think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think this makes 13, which is going to make it close. I do think the 1, 2 through 3 is going to be very close. And then Beasts, I think, is number 4.
Okay, so you're predicting huge drop for Elemental. That opened at 29 last week.
Yeah. It is going to go to number 5. Oof. Elemental is going to it's going to tank. I mean, this is, it's not Strange World in the sense of the numbers, but it's Strange World in the sense of interest. Because it's Pixar Strange World. It's going to have a huge drop because if the 12-year-olds aren't wanting to see this and the parents aren't excited to run out and see it, there's no audience for this.
Yeah. So I agree with you at the top. I think Spider-Man's going to be number 1. I think it made 27 last week in its 3rd weekend. I think it'll make like 19 or 20 this weekend. But then this could be wishful thinking. Number 2, I'm going No Hard Feelings. I think it gets to 18. I think it does it. I think it does it. I'm going I'm just going there. She's a star. She's the babe of the week, and so she's going to get number 2. Number 3 will be The Flash. That made 55 last week. This is going to be historic. This is a Morbius type drop. This is, I think, going to make under 18. It's going to go to like 16 or 17. And then I agree, Transformers number 4 and Elemental number 5. Now, do you have a dollar amount on what you think the new Wes Anderson movie is going to make? Do you think this makes?
It's opening wide?
It's opening wide.
Do you have a theater count for me?
I don't have that in front of me. Wait, let's see. I'm looking at right now. It looks like it's in 1,800 theaters, so not a super real wide,
but bigger. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, okay. So what did it make in limited? Is it at 1 million?
It made over 1 million already. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going on the low end on this. I say 7.
Okay. All right. I think it could.
Through.
I think it'll get to 8 or 9. I think so.
I mean, is it possible that it beats No Hard Feelings? Is that possible?
I mean, then that is a less of a huge weekend for Asteroid City. That's a full-on disaster for No Hard Feelings.
Yeah.
If it finishes behind the Wes Anderson film, then it is a disaster. So let's see. So our guest, Podcast Jesus himself.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the Tuesday dailies on what I call box office. Oh no, at this point.com.
Yeah.
One of the great honestly, more dangerous than any of these hideous websites have been brought to it. I don't know what's going on. I tried to do a bunch of research on this for you guys today, and I forgot what I don't know what I know what happened, but it's just it's tragic.
Yeah. But luckily Brandon Gray, he cashed out.
Yep.
He did. Good for him.
He cashed out. He's sitting on a pile of cash on an island somewhere, not taking any submarines.
So Spider-Man on Tuesday was just $500,000 behind The Flash. So I mean, it's going to swallow it whole here in the next couple of days. That'll be number 1. 18 million. I'm going to put that at 18 million.
Okay.
I am going to go by one caller who is very likely lying to me on my show today about this sellout. This anecdotal evidence. This is an AE anecdotal evidence, number 2 pick for No Hard Feelings. 16 million, I'm going to say.
All right.
Number 2 this weekend. Flash. So last weekend. So, what's a 70% drop for Flash? What's that? That's going to get us to.
So that would be, let's see, what did it make last weekend? It made 55. So that would be like 35 million off. I mean, that's still like 20 million.
Oh, there's still oh boy.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, but I think this could be a record breaking.
Like 80%.
Yeah,
I'll go along with that. All right. I'll put it 3rd right below. So then 4th would be I'll go 4th Elemental, 5th Transformers.
Okay.
I think there's going to be that crowd of kids. I feel like Transformers is just about. You can flip flop either one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll put Asteroid City at like 5.6, 5.8 or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, 1,800 screen. No, I mean that's a pretty good opening for that.
Here's something we want to throw out there. The worst case scenario that we've talked about before we went on air for No Hard Feelings was that this film could open at the Machine level. I mean, open at like 5 or 6.
I don't think
that
so.
would be a we come on air Sunday night, Monday morning, and it is full on emergency
a funeral
podcasting.
Time.
It's funeral time.
Exactly. For that. It made me think of one last. I live in a little town, Lexington, Massachusetts. And they still have a great little 2-screen theater there, like an independent that plays a bunch of stuff. I was walking with Harry the other day, and the movie with All But My Father, is that what it is? With Sebastian
Maniscalco.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the poster, which is in front there, and it's De Niro and him. And of course, I've seen. If you said to me which actor have I seen the most in my life, it's De Niro between Heat and The Godfather and Goodfellas and Midnight Run, all my favorite Untouchables.
Yeah.
And Harry's looking, he's like, how do I know that guy? And I looked at him, I said, Harry, you know him from The War with Grandpa.
Yeah.
And he said, yep, I do. And then we kept walking. And I thought, what a sad thing this is. This is how he knows Robert De Niro, but that's the way it is.
It's a movie that helped save the box
office. It
It
did.
We covered The War with Grandpa because I know you're going back through all the B.O. Boys episodes.
Yeah.
That was a movie we covered for about 3 months straight.
It never left. There was like 4 movies out there. We did in 2020. My show did We do live shows. We did 2 nights in a row at the drive-in movie theater in Saco, Maine. We had 1,000 people there both nights. And my goal was to get that to Box Office Mojo so we could be in the top 10. It didn't happen. They didn't, but I wanted to be in the top 10 of the box office just once in my life. It didn't happen.
Wow. We would have crossed paths so much earlier if that would happen.
I think the numbers were, because I mean, we did, I think, a couple 100,000 both nights, which at that point, I think was a show.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Yeah, we interviewed several people in those years who had stunt movies like
I remember. I listened to it.
We would have become podcasting friends so much earlier.
Right. Well, I'm glad we are now.
Yes.
Now, well, Kirk, but before we go, because I just have a question, because I love how you like to add money onto box office depending on different things, and we love to do that too.
Sure.
Now, Flash, right? You didn't see Flash, of course, right?
I haven't seen, but I will say there's so much nostalgia that I feel like I want to. We could spoil these things now?
Oh, yeah, it's been out. Yeah, it's been out.
I mean, like Christopher Reeve is in it, and like Helen Slater, and just some fucked
Nicolas
up stuff.
Cage.
I think your question is if Michael Keaton was dancing around on the circuit. Is that what you're going to say or no? Well, you mentioned that. No,
I was going to ask because you actually kind of led me into this because they were doing alternate different dimension characters, right? So Nicolas Cage, who never was in a movie, but famous
inside joke,
Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
If they would have gone for it, and because Aquaman shows up at the end of this movie, the very, very end.
Oh, right. Yeah, I heard about that.
Right. What if you get Vinny Chase himself to show up as Aquaman, right? Because you already did the Nicolas Cage, which is an in-joke, right?
Right.
For the Stoolies, the Minifans.
Oh, I could tell you that is the show for
that
those
have
guys.
Added. How much money to the box office would that have added?
I think you would have had to have him do it and then have the rest of the entourage like behind him.
Yes. And they're different superheroes?
Yeah. Or even just like, it's like, oh, this is Vinny Chase. And then he kind of goes off screen and the guys are all there, like, great job. Like,
and that song hits.
Yeah, Jeremy Piven. And that would have added $2.8 million in the opening week.
Wow.
I think I totally think so.
2.8.
If you're gonna go for it, go for it. Because I mean, I don't know, who that not the stinger, but at the very last moment, the person who walks out is George Clooney, right? And he's the Batman in this universe, which is just a joke. They just ended on a joke.
Right.
Like, here's this terrible Batman that everybody hated. So here you go.
Right.
You just ate a big shit pie.
I mean, that's just such a fuck you. It is wild. It is wild. Like, we know this sucks. Like, let's make how bizarre is that?
But then you get them back with the stinger where Vinny Chase is there. I think that's brilliant, and it didn't happen. And who knows? Adrian might have been doing his save the world thing and didn't want to do a movie, but you back up the Brinks truck for him.
I'll give you another one. It's not going to kill it. It's not going to hurt it that much. Tom Cruise praising that movie will cost Mission Impossible $428,000 opening weekend.
Yeah, you know what?
Wow.
And I think this detracts from James Gunn's
no question
movie too. When he said one of the greatest superhero, I mean, he could learn from Davey Page views. That's a rookie mistake.
True.
He should have come out and he should have said Flash 6.9. 6.9.
Yes. Yeah. This is way worse. That's way worse than those dumb tweets of his. That is bad. That is bad news.
It makes him look terrible.
Yes. No, not good. But I don't. Did they just throw Cruise he's a rich guy? They make a donation to Scientology. Like, I don't understand.
They must have. It's baffling
for him to say this is the greatest movie of all time. Like, what are we talking about? I don't even get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Maybe there was some kind of deal worked with Warner Brothers where they gave him some PLFs that they were going to try and get for Barbie.
Could be,
in a couple of weeks.
That could be the case.
Yeah, because you can't pay Tom Cruise off with money. You could really only pay him off with IMAX screens.
With the biggest screens possible, which he loves.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So I would bet Warner Brothers gave him some Barbie IMAX screens in exchange for him saying that he loved The Flash. Well, a movie which let's be honest, he has never seen.
No chance.
Tom Cruise has not watched this movie.
No chance. None.
No.
All right. Well, listen, Kirk, this was an amazing episode. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Was this everything you dreamt it would be when you dreamt about being on the B.O. Boys?
Well, yes, 98% there. I kind of thought you would then now say I'm a BO boy, but I'm not there yet. Whenever, and I'm not pushing for it. No.
Well, here's the thing. No, I'm not going to say you are. I'm going to say that's the carrot that we hold out to get you on the show again.
When I say anytime, I'll drop my other podcast. Like, you're fine. I make a fortune, whatever. Right. But if you said to me, hey, BO boys all the way, band of 3.
Right.
I'm not, and by the way, I'm not going to go behind one of you. I've been trying back. And like, I know that one of you is older than the other one. That's fine. I know one of you is closer to, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, if needed against each other would be so easy.
Wouldn't do it. Too classy to do that. But if somebody is ill or somebody, and you need somebody to fill in, I know I'm not Scott Mendelson. I know I'm not the guy who like the Flash.
Right.
But I'm a phone call away. Call away. I'm here for you.
Well, this is huge.
Yes.
This is huge. So
thank you, boys.
What do you have coming up on the Kirk Minihane show? Do you have any upcoming babes of the week that you could see? Any contests that
I don't think we're doing any of that coming up. We're just going to kind of do bullshit. I also have a separate podcast called The Case, which is a true crime series. Season 1, we solved a murder. We got somebody arrested for that.
Wow.
And then, I have a big live show coming up. A couple of thousand people will be there. So
where is this live?
It's in Massachusetts. We've done live shows in Mississippi. We sold them out in Mississippi, Maine, Massachusetts, obviously, kind of all over the place. So we do sort of a big production live show thing, which we enjoy doing. But it's fun. I have great bosses, great company, but I don't need to promote. I don't care. Listen to us. Doesn't matter.
Very excited. Well, listen, any WannaB.O boys, WannaB.O girls, WannaB.O people. If you're in Massachusetts, go see the Kirk Minihane live show and hold up a WannaB.O boys, WannaB.O girl, WannaB.O people sign.
Hell yes.
That Kirk could see you out there in the crowd.
Yeah.
This podcast is growing. It's growing. Yeah. I've seen it. It's not even anecdotal. People are stopping me on the street and asking me about these things. So this is just a fact. It's just a fact.
And all of your anecdotal evidence always leads to real facts. So this is very exciting. So all right. As for us, of course, email us at theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. That is where listeners first alerted us that Kirk Minihane is talking about you right now. We got many Minifans who are emailing us at theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, follow us on social media. WannaB.O intern Christopher, killing it with the video clips. And we're giving him a lot of material to work with tonight. So he's got his hands full. Do you have an intern on the Kirk Minihane show?
We have an intern right now. We have Shane is our intern. We have Colin, the producer. We have an intern as well, Shane, who he's fine. Our social media is lacking. I would say that you guys, Christopher is doing a much better job than our guys are doing. That's for sure.
Oh, you have just made him the king of the campus by saying that. Kirk Minihane.
I mean it.
WannaB.O intern Christopher is doing a great job. He's going to dine out on that in the dining hall for next year.
He's a Nittany lion like myself.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And of course, we're YouTubers, so smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Do you have the Minifans smashing these buttons?
Yes. Well, it's funny. I just started incorporating this because we're on YouTube all the time. I never do this. I'm anti-promotion, which is bad. Right. But I've just started saying the other day, because Harry, my son, always says it. Smash that button, that button, and you get some. After a while, they give you some number. If you reach a certain number, they hand you something. I don't know what it is. Calling name. My producer is going to text it.
You'll get some kind of ribbon in the mail,
plaque or something.
Yeah. It's a football phone.
It's it's like Sports Illustrated. Yeah. So they give you one of those. Yeah.
There's a lot of leftover ones that YouTube inherited. So smash.
And ring that bell. We never say ring the bell. There's a bell too.
Oh, you got to
ring that bell. Yeah.
Ring that bell, and 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, because that's the only one that matters. And I think we've done it, Clay.
Well, real quick though, because we got to remember this. We got to shout out WannaB.O boy Austin, who for Flash last weekend said 58. He was the closest of anybody who emailed us. He pretty much nailed it. He's got the finger on the pulse.
Yep.
He's probably a Stoolie.
Yep.
He's probably a Minifan. If he's not, he is now. So shout out to Austin. He's an OG WannaB.O boy from the very start.
So great job, Austin, and great job, all of us.
Yep.
Great episode. So Clayton, I think there's nothing left to say.
There's nothing left to say.
No.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Except for until next time.
We'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it. All right.